Professor Zixnera's antennae twitched with excitement as she addressed her class of eager young xenobiologists. The holographic display behind her flickered to life, revealing a swirling mass of vibrant gases and rocky debris. "Today, we embark on the most thrilling field trip in the history of the Galactic Academy," she announced, her compound eyes gleaming. "Behold, the Crimson Nebula." A chorus of awed gasps filled the lecture hall. The Crimson Nebula was renowned throughout the Galactic Federation as a natural wonder, its beauty matched only by its mystery. For centuries, it had captivated the imagination of scientists and explorers alike. Within this cosmic spectacle, Zixnera continued, lies our destination, the exoplanet designated XP-127. Its unique atmospheric composition and extreme geological activity make it a treasure trove of potential discoveries. Telex, a blue-skinned Andromean with telescopic eyes, raised a tentacle. "Professor, I've heard XP-127 is classified as a death world. Is it safe for us to visit?" Zixnera's mandibles clicked in what passed for a reassuring smile among her species. "An excellent question, Telex. While XP-127 is indeed challenging by galactic standards, our advanced technology ensures our safety. The Galactic Academy would never endanger its students." As the class filed out of the hall and towards the waiting starship, excitement buzzed in the air. For many of these young aliens, this would be their first time setting foot on a world beyond their home systems. The sleek vessel, christened the Stellar Seeker, was a marvel of modern engineering. Its adaptive hull could withstand extreme temperatures and pressures, while its sophisticated life support systems promised comfort even in the harshest environments. As the ship broke free from the Academy's orbital dock, Professor Zixnera gathered her students in the observation lounge. Through the panoramic windows, they watched their familiar world shrink to a mere pinprick of light among countless stars. "During our journey," she explained, "we'll study the unique properties of the Crimson Nebula. Its radiation patterns and particle density could revolutionize our understanding of stellar phenomena." For 3 standard galactic weeks, the Stellar Seeker glided through the cosmos. The students immersed themselves in their studies, analyzing data and conducting simulations to prepare for their upcoming planetfall. Finally, the ship emerged from the swirling crimson clouds of the nebula. XP-127 loomed before them, a turbulent sphere of angry storm systems and erupting volcanoes. Commencing descent, the ship's AI announced smoothly, "Planetary approach vector calculated. Estimated time to landing, 17 minutes." As they pierced the upper atmosphere, the first signs of trouble appeared. The ship shuddered violently, its hull creaking under unexpected stress. "Warning," the AI's voice crackled through sudden static. "Atmospheric composition differs from recorded data. Corrosive elements detected. Hull integrity compromised." Panic erupted among the students. Professor Zixnera fought to maintain calm, her antennae flattened against her head in distress. "Initiate emergency protocols," she shouted. "Reroute power to shields and life support." The Stellar Seeker plummeted through layers of noxious gases, its once sleek form now pitted and scarred. With a bone-jarring impact, it crashed onto the planet's surface, skidding to a halt in a field of razor-sharp crystalline formations. Silence fell, broken only by the hiss of escaping atmosphere and the groan of stressed metal. "Status report," Zixnera croaked, pulling herself up from the floor. The AI's response was faint, its systems failing. "Hull breach in multiple sections. Exterior, highly toxic. Life support, critical. Distress beacon, activated." As the reality of their situation sank in, fear gripped the survivors. They were stranded on a death world far beyond their expertise, their advanced technology rendered useless by the planet's harsh conditions. "Professor," Talax whispered, his usual bravado replaced by terror, "what do we do now?" Zixnera gazed out at the alien landscape, its beauty now a deadly threat. "We survive," she said grimly. And we pray that someone out there can reach us before it's too late. Little did they know, their distress call was about to reach a planet that the Galactic Federation had long overlooked. A world whose inhabitants knew a thing or two about surviving against impossible odds. In the bustling heart of New Geneva, Earth's capital and seat of the United Earth Government, an urgent message flashed across holographic screens. Admiral Helena Chen, head of Earth's Interstellar Relations Division, furrowed her brow as she read the distress signal. "A Galactic Academy ship," she muttered, "stranded on XP-127. Interesting." Her aide, Lieutenant Raj Patel, looked up from his datapad. "XP-127, ma'am. Isn't that within the Crimson Nebula?" Chen nodded, a wry smile playing on her lips. "Indeed, a planet the Federation considers a death world. Reminds me of home." Earth, despite its thriving civilization and technological advancements, was classified as a death world by Galactic Federation standards. Its varied and often extreme climates, tectonic activity, and myriad of potentially lethal flora and fauna made it a nightmare for most alien species. "Should we inform the Federation Council?" Raj asked. "Not yet," Chen replied, her mind racing with possibilities. "This could be our chance to show the galaxy what Earthlings are truly capable of." She strode to the command center, where a holographic representation of the solar system flickered to life. "Contact the Ranger Corps. I want our best team prepped and ready for a rescue mission within 24 hours. As her orders echoed through the facility, Chen couldn't help but reflect on humanity's unique position in the galactic community. For centuries, Earth had been overlooked, its inhabitants deemed too primitive to join the ranks of advanced civilizations. Little did the Federation know that this perceived weakness was humanity's greatest strength. Humans had evolved on a planet that constantly tried to kill them. From searing deserts to frozen tundras, from hurricane-battered coastlines to earthquake-prone regions, Earth had forged its children in the crucible of survival. This harsh upbringing had instilled in humans an unparalleled adaptability and resilience. When Earth finally achieved faster-than-light travel and made contact with the Galactic Federation, the initial reception was lukewarm at best. The advanced species saw humans as uncouth, reckless, and far too comfortable with danger. What they failed to realize was that these very traits made humans uniquely suited for tasks that other species deemed impossible. In the years since first contact, Earth had slowly begun to prove its worth. Human explorers charted regions of space others feared to tread. Earth's scientific teams made breakthroughs in hostile environment technologies. And now, with this distress call, they had a chance to showcase their abilities on a galactic stage. At the Ranger Corps headquarters in the Rocky Mountains, alarms blared as the elite rescue team scrambled into action. Captain Sarah Okoa, a veteran of countless high-risk missions, briefed her team as they suited up. "Listen up, Rangers," she barked, her voice carrying over the din of preparation. "We've got a ship full of alien students stuck on a planet that makes our Death Valley look like a resort. Our job is to get in, get them out, and show the galaxy what Earthlings can do." Her second-in-command, Major Jen Liu, pulled up holographic schematics of XP-127. "The planet's atmosphere is highly corrosive," he explained. "Standard Federation tech doesn't stand a chance. But our exosuits, designed for Venus exploration, should hold up." The team nodded, their faces a mix of determination and excitement. This wasn't just a rescue mission. It was a chance to prove themselves to a galaxy that had long underestimated them. As the Rangers boarded their ship, the Terran Phoenix, Admiral Chen's voice came through the comms. "Remember, team, this isn't just about saving lives. It's about showing the Federation that Earth deserves a seat at the table. Good luck, and Godspeed." The Terran Phoenix lifted off, its advanced engines glowing with barely contained power. As it streaked into the night sky, the people of Earth watched with pride and anticipation. For too long, they had been the underdogs of the galaxy. Now, they had a chance to be heroes. Little did they know, their actions in the coming days would not only save lives, but also reshape the very fabric of galactic society. The age of the Deathworlders was about to begin, and the universe would never be the same. As the ship vanished into the depths of space, Earth held its breath, waiting to see if its children would rise to the challenge or fall victim to the very dangers they had spent millennia overcoming. The stage was set for a rescue mission, unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. The Terran Phoenix sliced through the void of space, its crew focused on the monumental task ahead. Captain Sarah Oko sat in the command chair, her eyes fixed on the swirling mass of the Crimson Nebula growing larger on the view screen. "Status report," she called out, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. Major Zen Liu responded from his station. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're approaching the nebula's outer boundary. ETA to XP 127 is 6 hours. Sarah nodded, then turned to her communications officer. "Lieutenant Rivera, any update on the distress signal?" Rivera's fingers danced over her console. "Signal is weak but steady, Captain. I'm detecting multiple life signs, but they're fading. Whatever hit them, it hit them hard." As the ship penetrated the nebula's crimson clouds, alarms blared. The Phoenix shuddered, its hull groaning under the strain of unfamiliar forces. "Radiation levels spiking," shouted the science officer, Dr. Amelia Okoye. "The nebula's composition is unlike anything we've encountered. It's interfering with our sensors and shields." Sarah gripped her armrests, her mind racing. This was why the Federation feared these regions of space. But humanity had faced the unknown before and triumphed. "Reroute auxiliary power to the shields," she ordered. "Dr. Okoye, start analyzing that radiation. If we can understand it, we can adapt to it." As the crew worked feverishly to keep the ship intact, Sarah couldn't help but reflect on the gravity of their mission. This wasn't just about saving lives. It was about proving humanity's worth to a galaxy that had dismissed them for too long. Back on Earth, Admiral Chen paced in the command center, her eyes darting between holographic displays of the Phoenix's progress and incoming data from the Federation. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Patel called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the Galactic Council. They're questioning our intervention." Chen's lips tightened into a thin line. "Put them through," she said, squaring her shoulders. The holographic image of Council Member Sixtal, a towering insectoid being, materialized before her. "Admiral Chen," it chittered, mandibles clicking in agitation. "We've detected an unauthorized Earth vessel entering restricted space. Explain yourself." Chen met the alien's compound eyes without flinching. "Council member, we received a distress call from a Galactic Academy ship. As the nearest capable rescue force, we are bound by interstellar law to respond." Sixtal's antennae twitched in what Chen had learned to recognize as disbelief. "Nearest capable force? Surely you jest, Admiral. XP 127 is a death world, far beyond your species' abilities. We cannot allow you to endanger more lives in a futile rescue attempt." Chen felt her patience wearing thin, but she maintained her diplomatic composure. "With all due respect, Council member, Earth is classified as a death world too. We've spent millennia adapting to extreme environments. Our team is uniquely qualified for this mission." "Preposterous," Sixtal exclaimed. "Your primitive technology." "Our primitive technology," Chen interrupted, her voice sharp, "has allowed us to thrive on a planet you consider uninhabitable. We've developed solutions you've never even considered because you've never needed to. Now lives are at stake, and we have a chance to save them. Will you stand in our way?" A tense silence fell over the communication channel. Chen could almost see the wheels turning in the alien's mind, weighing centuries of prejudice against the desperate need for action. Finally, Sixtal spoke, its voice subdued. "Very well, Admiral. We will allow your rescue attempt to proceed. But know this, if you fail, the consequences for Earth's standing in the galactic community will be severe." As the transmission cut off, Chen let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. She turned to her staff, who had watched the exchange with a mixture of pride and apprehension. "Well," she said, a grim smile on her face, "the stage is set. It's up to Captain Oko and her team now. May they prove to the galaxy what we've known all along, that humanity's greatest strength is our ability to overcome the impossible." As if in response to her words, a new alert flashed across the screens. The Terran Phoenix had reached the outer atmosphere of XP-127. The rescue mission was about to begin in earnest, and with it, the future of humanity's place in the galaxy hung in the balance. The Terran Phoenix hung in low orbit around XP-127, its hull gleaming against the backdrop of swirling storms and erupting volcanoes below. Inside the ship's briefing room, Captain Sarah Oko stood before a holographic display of the planet's surface, her team gathered around her. "All right, Rangers," she began, her voice carrying the weight of their mission. "This is what we're dealing with. XP-127 is a nightmare made real. Gravity is 1.5 times Earth normal. The atmosphere is a cocktail of corrosive gases. Surface temperature fluctuates between extreme heat and cold. And that's just the start." Major Zhen Liu stepped forward, pulling up detailed scans of the crash site. "The Galactic Academy ship went down here, in a region of crystalline formations. The area is geologically unstable, with frequent earthquakes and geyser eruptions of superheated, acidic liquid." Dr. Amelia Okoye, the team's xenobiologist, chimed in. "And let's not forget the local wildlife. Our scans have detected large predatory creatures in the vicinity. They seem to be silicon-based life forms, possibly using the crystals as camouflage." A murmur of concern rippled through the team. Even for the hardened Rangers, this mission pushed the boundaries of the possible. Sarah raised her hand for silence. "I know it looks bad, but remember, we've trained for this. Earth has thrown everything it has at us, and we're still standing. This planet is just another challenge to overcome." She turned to the team's tech specialist, Sergeant Yuki Tanaka. "Yuki, talk us through the gear." Tanaka nodded, pulling up schematics of their exosuits. "We've modified our Venus exploration suits for XP-127's conditions. The outer layer is a nano-engineered material that actively repairs itself. The inner layer regulates temperature and counteracts the increased gravity." She continued, showcasing an array of specialized equipment. "We got portable force field generators for additional protection, multi-spectrum scanners to detect hidden threats, and plasma cutters that can slice through the crystalline formations." "What about weapons?" asked Corporal Diego Ruiz, the team's combat specialist. Sarah shook her head. "Minimal offensive capabilities, Diego. We're here to rescue, not to fight. But we got high-powered sonic disruptors that should disorient any hostile life forms we encounter." As the briefing continued, each team member's role was defined and refined. They ran through simulations, fine-tuning their approach based on the limited data they had. Hours passed in a blur of preparation and last-minute adjustments. Finally, Sarah called for attention one last time. "Listen up, Rangers. What we're about to do, no one in the galaxy thinks is possible. But that's been humanity's story since we first looked up at the stars. We don't just survive, we thrive in the face of the impossible." She looked each team member in the eye, seeing determination reflected back. "We're going to rescue those students, and we're going to show the galaxy what Earth is truly capable of." Any questions? Silence fell over the room. Then, as one, the team stood at attention. Major Liu spoke for all of them. "No questions, Captain. We're ready." Sarah nodded, a fierce pride swelling in her chest. "Then suit up. We drop in 30 minutes." As the Rangers dispersed to make their final preparations, Sarah took a moment to herself. She activated her personal comm link, and Admiral Chen's holographic image appeared. "Admiral," Sarah reported, "we're about to begin our descent. Any last words from Earth?" Chen's expression was solemn but encouraging. "The eyes of Earth and the entire Galactic Federation are upon you, Captain. But no pressure." A small smile cracked her serious demeanor. "You and your team represent the best of humanity. Trust your training, trust each other, and show them what Earthlings can do." Sarah saluted. "We won't let you down, Admiral." Phoenix out. As the communication ended, Sarah took a deep breath, centering herself for the challenges ahead. She made her way to the drop bay, where her team was already assembled in their exosuits, looking like futuristic knights ready for battle. The bay doors opened, revealing the turbulent atmosphere of XP-127 below. Sarah locked her helmet into place and did a final check of her systems. "Rangers," she called out over the team comm, "it's time to make the impossible possible. Drop in 3, 2, 1, mark." With that, they leaped into the unknown, plummeting towards a planet that had already defeated the galaxy's best. But they were Earthlings, children of a death world, and they were ready to defy the odds once again. The descent through XP-127's atmosphere was unlike anything the Rangers had experienced before. Their drop pods were battered by winds strong enough to tear apart lesser craft, while lightning the size of cities crackled around them. The heat of atmospheric entry combined with the planet's corrosive gases tested the limits of their shielding technology. Captain Sarah Oko gritted her teeth as her pod shuddered violently. "Status report." She barked into the comm. "Shields holding at 68%. Major Lou's voice crackled back. "But this turbulence is playing havoc with our trajectory. We're going to be scattered on landing." "Understood," Sarah replied. "Remember your training. Regroup at the nav point once you're groundside." As the surface rushed up to meet them, the pod's retro thrusters fired, slowing their descent. With a bone-jarring impact, Sarah's pod slammed into the crystalline ground, skidding to a halt in a field of razor-sharp formations. For a moment, all was silent save for the hiss of equalizing pressure. Then Sarah's voice came through the team's comms. "Sound off. Who's alive?" One by one, the Rangers reported in. They had all survived the landing, though they were spread over a 2-kilometer area. Sarah popped the hatch of her pod, and her first breath of XP-127's air was filtered through multiple layers of her suit's life support system. She stepped out onto the alien world, her boots crunching on the crystalline surface. The landscape that greeted her was both beautiful and terrifying. Towering spires of multicolored crystal reached towards the roiling sky. In the distance, a volcano belched forth not lava, but what appeared to be molten metal. The air was thick with swirling, iridescent gases that would have been breathtaking if they weren't so lethal. "My God," Dr. Okoy's voice came over the comm, filled with awe and trepidation. "It's like no world we've ever seen." "Stay focused," Sarah reminded them. "Beauty can kill you just as dead as ugly." "Tanaka, what's the status on the Academy ship?" Sergeant Tanaka's reply was immediate. "I'm picking up their distress beacon, Captain. It's about 3 clicks north of my position. Signal's weak, but steady." "Roger that. All units, converge on Tanaka's location. Keep your eyes open and sensors active. This place is going to try to kill us every step of the way." As the team began to move, the true nature of XP-127's hostility became apparent. The crystalline ground was treacherous, with hidden fissures that could swallow a person whole. Geysers of superheated, acidic liquid erupted without warning, forcing the Rangers to constantly adjust their path. Corporal Ruiz was the first to spot one of the planet's native predators. "Contact," he shouted. 2 o'clock high. The creature was massive, easily the size of an earth elephant. Its body seemed to be a hybrid of crystal and flesh, allowing it to blend seamlessly with the surrounding terrain. As it moved, the grinding of its crystalline limbs produced an eerie, keening sound that set the Rangers' teeth on edge. "Hold fire," Sarah ordered. "Defensive positions. Let's see what it does." The creature paused, turning multifaceted eyes towards the team. For a tense moment, it seemed to study them. Then, with a sound like shattering glass, it charged. "Sonic disruptors," Sarah yelled. Full spread. The air rippled as the Rangers unleashed their weapons. The creature stumbled, its crystalline components vibrating at a frequency that clearly caused it pain. With a shriek that could have shattered lesser materials, it retreated, disappearing into the forest of crystal spires. "Good work, team," Sarah said, her voice tight. "But stay alert. Where there's one, there's likely more." As they pressed on towards the downed Academy ship, the planet seemed to increase its efforts to thwart them. The gravity fluctuated wildly, at times making each step a Herculean effort, at others threatening to send them floating away. The temperature swung between extremes, testing the limits of their suits' thermal regulation. Despite the challenges, the Rangers pushed forward. Their training on Earth's most inhospitable environments was paying off, allowing them to adapt and overcome obstacles that would have stopped others in their tracks. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of struggle, they crested a rise and saw their objective. The Galactic Academy ship lay in a valley below, its once sleek form now a twisted wreck. Ominously, there was no sign of movement around the crash site. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself for what they might find. "We've made it this far," she said to her team. "Now comes the hard part. Let's go save some lives and show the galaxy what Earthlings can do." As they began their descent towards the ship, none of them noticed the pair of crystalline eyes watching from the shadows, nor the silent communication being sent to gather the swarm. The true test of humanity's resilience was about to begin. The Rangers approached the downed Galactic Academy ship with caution, their sensors on high alert for any signs of danger. The vessel's hull was pitted and scarred, testament to the brutal conditions it had endured. "Life signs?" Captain Sarah Okoye asked, her voice tense. Dr. Okoye consulted her scanner. "Faint, but present. I'm detecting multiple signatures inside the ship, but they're weak and fading fast." Sarah nodded grimly. "All right, team. We've got no time to waste. Ruiz, secure the perimeter. Tanaka, work on getting that hatch open. Okoye, you're with me. We go in fast and focused." As Surgeon Tanaka approached the ship's airlock with her plasma cutter, a low rumble shook the ground. The crystals around them began to vibrate, emitting an eerie, high-pitched whine. "Captain," Major Liu's voice crackled over the comm. "We've got movement. Multiple contacts closing in from all directions." Sarah's mind raced. They were out of time. "Tanaka, forget finesse. Cut us a hole. Now." The plasma cutter flared to life, slicing through the weakened hull like butter. As the last cut was made, the section of hull fell inward with a resounding clang. "We're in," Sarah shouted. Ruiz, hold the line. Buy us as much time as you can." Without waiting for a response, Sarah and Dr. Okoye plunged into the darkness of the ship. The interior was a maze of twisted metal and sparking circuitry. The air, even filtered through their suits, tasted of ozone and fear. They found the first survivors in what remained of the ship's common area. A group of alien students, their bodies adapted for much gentler worlds, lay huddled together. Their breathing was shallow, their exotic physiologies struggling against XP-127's punishing conditions. "Okoye, start triage," Sarah ordered. "I'll search for more survivors." As the doctor began her work, Sarah pressed deeper into the ship. She found Professor Zixnera in the shattered remains of the bridge, the insectoid alien barely clinging to life. "Help, my students," Zixnera chittered weakly. "We're here to rescue all of you," Sarah assured her, carefully lifting the alien professor. "Just hold on." Outside, the situation was deteriorating rapidly. Liu's voice came through the comm, strained and punctuated by the sound of sonic disruptors firing. "Captain, we're surrounded. These creatures, they're adapting to our weapons. We can't hold them off much longer." Sarah's mind raced. They needed a plan, and fast. Tanaka, what's the status on the Academy ship? Any systems still operational? There was a pause, then Tanaka's excited voice came through. The main power core is intact, Captain. If I can reroute it, we might be able to use it. Do it, Sarah commanded. Everyone else, fall back to the ship. We're going to make our stand here. As Lu and Ruiz retreated, the full scope of the threat became apparent. A swarm of crystalline creatures, ranging from dog size to larger than tanks, converged on their position. The very ground seemed to come alive, reaching out with jagged spears of crystal to ensnare them. Inside the ship, Sarah and Okoi worked feverishly to stabilize the survivors. How much longer do you need, Doc? Sarah asked, eyeing the closing swarm through a breach in the hull. 5 minutes, minimum, Okoi replied, her hand steady as she worked. Their physiology is so different. I'm having to improvise every step of the way. You've got 2, Sarah said grimly. Tanaka, tell me you've got something. Ready on your mark, Captain. Tanaka's voice was filled with a mix of fear and excitement. I've rigged the power core to emit a massive electromagnetic pulse. It should disrupt the crystalline creatures. But what? It'll fry every piece of tech we have, including our suits. We'll be as vulnerable as the students. Sarah closed her eyes for a moment, weighing their options. There were none. Do it. Everyone, brace for impact. Sarah yelled. When the pulse hits, we run. Head for the extraction point. Leave everything non-essential behind. As the swarm reached the ship, tearing at the hull with terrifying efficiency, Tanaka activated her jury-rigged device. For a split second, nothing happened. Then the world turned white. A wave of energy pulsed outward, and every crystalline creature within a kilometer radius shattered into a million pieces. The Rangers' suits went dark, their advanced technology rendered useless in an instant. In the sudden, eerie silence that followed, Sarah's voice rang out. Move. Now. What followed was a desperate race against time. The Rangers, now as vulnerable as those they'd come to rescue, carried the weakened alien students across XP-127's hostile terrain. Every step was agony, the planet's atmosphere burning their lungs, its gravity threatening to crush them. But with each painful step, each labored breath, they'd proved why humanity had not just survived, but thrived on their own death world. Where advanced technology had failed, human determination and adaptability pressed on. As they crested the final ridge, lungs burning and muscles screaming, they saw it. The Terran Phoenix, hovering just above the crystalline surface, its rescue bay doors wide open. They had done it. Against all odds, they had survived XP-127 and rescued the alien students. As the last of them stumbled into the ship and the doors sealed behind them, a cheer went up. Humanity had just shown the galaxy what it was truly capable of. The Terran Phoenix broke through the swirling clouds of the Crimson Nebula, leaving the hostile world of XP-127 behind. In the medical bay, Dr. Okoi worked tirelessly to stabilize the rescued alien students, her improvised treatments a testament to human ingenuity. Captain Sarah Oko stood on the bridge, her body aching from the ordeal, but her eyes shining with triumph. Status report, she called out, her voice hoarse from the toxic air she'd breathed. All rescued personnel accounted for and stable, Major Liu reported. Our team suffered minor injuries, but nothing critical. The ship took a beating, but we're space-worthy. Sarah nodded, allowing herself a small smile. Set a course for Earth. It's time to go home. As the Phoenix streaked through space, news of their success spread like wildfire across the galaxy. On Earth, crowds gathered in cities around the world, watching live feeds of the ship's approach. The excitement was palpable. Humanity had done what the advanced species of the galaxy had deemed impossible. Admiral Helena Chen stood in the new Geneva spaceport, flanked by representatives from the Galactic Federation. As the Phoenix touched down, she couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. The ship's doors opened, and the Rangers emerged, helping the still weak alien students. A cheer erupted from the crowd, drowning out all other sound. Council member Sixtel stepped forward, its compound eyes fixed on the scene before it. Impossible, it chittered. How did they survive? Chen smiled diplomatically. Perhaps, council member, it's time to reevaluate your definition of impossible. In the days that followed, the galaxy buzzed with the news of the rescue. The Rangers were hailed as heroes, not just on Earth, but across countless worlds. Species that had once looked down on humanity now regarded them with a mix of awe and curiosity. At a special session of the Galactic Council, Admiral Chen stood before representatives from 1,000 worlds. The chamber, usually filled with the low hum of conversation, was silent as she spoke. For too long, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast hall. Humanity has been underestimated. We've been called primitive, reckless, even dangerous. But what you saw as our weaknesses are, in fact, our greatest strengths. She gestured to Captain Oko and her team, standing proudly in their dress uniforms. These brave individuals didn't succeed because of advanced technology or overwhelming firepower. They succeeded because, as children of Earth, they've been trained by the very planet you call a death world. Murmurs rippled through the assembly as Chen continued. Humanity doesn't just survive in hostile environments. We thrive in them. We adapt, we innovate, we overcome. And now we offer these skills to the galaxy. The council chamber erupted in a cacophony of voices. Some expressed support, others skepticism, but all were engaged. For the first time, humanity was being seen not as a primitive species to be tolerated, but as a valuable ally in facing the universe's greatest challenges. As the session concluded, new agreements were drawn up. Earth would take a leading role in rescue operations, exploration of dangerous worlds, and the development of survival techniques. Human ingenuity, once dismissed, was now in high demand. Back on Earth, in a quiet moment away from the celebrations, Sarah stood with her team, looking up at the night sky. "So," Sergeant Tanaka asked, a grin on her face, "what's next, Captain?" "The galaxy's our oyster now." Sarah chuckled. "Oh, I have a feeling this is just the beginning. There are more worlds out there, more challenges to face. And now, the galaxy knows who to call when the impossible needs doing." As they stood there, united by their shared experience and newfound respect, they knew that humanity's future in the stars was brighter than ever. They had faced the crucible of a true death world and emerged victorious, forever changing their place in the cosmic order. The age of the Deathworlders had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.